Allahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters around the world, wherever you are. Thanks very much to the Eunice Emery Institute for giving me a great opportunity today. Got a frog in my throat because I've had the fan going. It's a bit warm here in Istanbul. Where are you tonight? Let us know. You can watch this on Facebook. Perhaps you're watching it live on YouTube. Thanks again to the Eunice Emery Institute. I'm Lauren Booth, by the way. I'm a journalist and broadcaster, and I now live in Istanbul. But really, we are here today to meet a very special sister in faith and in humanity, mashallah. Della Miles is a well-known international singer. She's performed some of the greats, including MJ and Whitney Houston. And now she is going to tell us, inshallah, about her amazing life as a spiritual human being and as a singer and a mother and many other things. And of course, all focused around our mutual love of Turkey. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Della.
Merhaba. Hello. Hello. Thank you.
My dear sister, now, first of all, disclaimer, you're not actually in Istanbul tonight. Where are you?
I'm in Berlin. I've been in Berlin now for the last 4 or 5 days.
I asked you before we came on camera, how much traveling have you done? And what was your answer?
This week? But in
so
general,
I'm guessing that, yeah.
In general, I mean, I'm traveling all the time. I mean, I have a house in Dalian, and I always say, I think if I count the days that I've actually slept there, it would be less than a year.
In how many years?
Well, I've only had this house for almost 3 years. But it would be less than a year of how many days I've actually slept there.
So let's roll it back a bit, because you come from Texas, and I'm doing a little bit of reading. I know that you, for example, that you have 5 brothers and sisters.
Yes, I'm the youngest of 6.
Oh, the youngest of 6. Wow, amazing.
Yes.
We don't have such big families these days, do we?
No. Well, in Texas, you do still have big families.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good to know. And are all your brothers and sisters still in the States?
No, I have a sister in California. I have a brother who's in heaven, and the rest are in Houston.
Houston, Texas. You haven't quite got a Houston drawl though, sis. Well, you've got a kind of transatlantic sort of voice. Why is that?
Traveling, like you. Traveling. The more we travel, I think we lose it, because you start to speak other languages, or you try to start to speak other languages. So the accents you're trying to pick up, and you lose your own. It's like my English. I try to speak Turkish. I try to speak German, and my English is getting worse.
Tell us a few words in Turkish, because I'm struggling. I've got to be honest to all my lovely Turkish brothers and sisters. At my age, this is not a totally easy thing. Della, how have you found it in the last 3 years? Can you give us a few words in Turkish? Go on.
Yes, seni seviyorum.
Okay. What does that mean?
I love you.
Allah, that's so nice. Thank you. So you know all the important stuff. I can tell you
know all the important things. Yes. Çok güzel. You're beautiful. Çok güzel.
Oh, okay. Mashallah. So I can hear applause from around the world, from all of our Turkish brothers and sisters saying, yes, somebody's making the effort to learn this beautiful, amazing language, which has been so perfectly preserved. Evet. I want to go back to, sis, when you first came to Turkey. What year was that?
My first visit to Turkey was about, oh God, what year? I can only say it was, let me think, maybe 10 years ago, the first time I set foot in Turkey. Not 10 years ago.
Do you remember what that was like, getting off the plane? And also, you know what was your expectation coming to Turkey? Because even though as artists we can think that we're very liberal and open-minded, I'm not sure that the media is necessarily overly fair to Muslim nations like Turkey. Did you have any odd expectations?
To be honest, I had no expectations. I was going there to do a job, and I was with my band, so I felt very comfortable. And for us, going from one country to another country was very normal. So I didn't really focus on the fact that I'm going to Turkey. It was for us, we were going to do a job, and after that, we could have come to England. So it wasn't a big deal for us at that time until we arrived. Once we arrived in Turkey, after the first week, none of us wanted to leave.
None of you? How many people were in the band? Tell me about your band at that stage.
I had 4 pieces. I had 4 guys with me, plus myself. And we were in Chesma, which is near Izmir. And it was so beautiful. The audience, the people, the food, everything was so lovely. And I was very lucky because I met during that time a wonderful manager. And that opened up a lot of doors for me to return to Turkey.
A manager?
So, yes.
Okay. I want to know more about the fact that nobody wanted to leave, because, when you're on a tour, right? I once spoke to Jermaine Jackson backstage at a Global Peace and Unity event in 2010. And I said, wow, what's your favorite country? He said, honestly, I've visited them all and I don't know any of them, because when you're on tour, you're in a limo from the airport to the hotel,
Exactly.
hotel to the venue, and you're out again. So I can tell you about
Exactly.
the Hilton Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
What was different about your trip then? What did you actually get to see? And what was it a heartfelt experience, or was it the taste? Was it Adana kebab? What was it?
All of that. I mean, like Jermaine said, normally we don't get to feel any of these things. You're in and you're out. So that's why I said we had no expectations, because normally it doesn't really matter, because we don't think we're going to see or feel anything or meet anyone. But in this case, we were there for quite some time. We were there for 3 weeks straight. And then we took a break and we came back to Berlin, and then we went back. So we could develop friendships, and we could actually develop a taste for the food. And it was just, and the air, the sun, the kindness of the people, it was really a treat for us. And really, to this day, when I speak to some of the guys who came with me, we all still feel the same way. It was one of the best experiences we've had.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I remember when I got to know the Muslim community was about 10, 15 years ago now. And I remember going into a dinner party, a kind of event. And I wrote in my diary, because I write memoirs, I keep diaries. I remember writing, I felt like a clumsy, sarcastic adult in a room full of sweet children.
Oh.
When you talk about a sweetness of the people, describe that a bit. Describe that. What was the difference that you weren't seeing other places in the world?
I think the word giving comes to mind. I find there's a lot of nice people in the world, but everyone nice is not willing to give. So I found really one night, I wanted some candles, and in my flat that I was having there, and I had none. So I went to the market and I said, do you have any candles? Just little tea candles to put on the table. He said, no, I don't. But wait a minute. He went home. He went to his house and brought me candles and gave them to me, of course, and said, bye-bye, go ahead. Or one night I worked late and I wanted to cook. I wanted to make like an omelet or something with sujuk, sujuk with meat and chopped onions and all this, tomatoes. I had nothing in my refrigerator. So, they have these little stands sometimes on the street where they're selling kebab. So they have tomatoes, they have onions, they have all these things. So I said, can I please, I will buy it. I will pay for it. I don't want a sandwich. I don't want a kebab. I just need all the vegetables that you have so I can go home. He took his bag, made me a vegetable bag and said, bye-bye. He wouldn't take my money. And this is just two things. This happens so often. Really, it happens very often.
What do you think? I wonder that we've lost as human beings, because in big cities. I'm not going to say east and west. I'm going to say that often our big city life makes us so self-involved that.
But this was in Istanbul. This was in Istanbul. Yeah,
a massive city, massive
city in Istanbul. So I don't know about that theory now.
No. So in that case, tell me about your next visit after that to Turkey. Did you make an excuse to come back? Did you say to your manager, I think we need to do another tour? Or was it just by chance?
You know what? I didn't say anything like this here. And it's, as my mother always would say, if something is for you, it's just going to happen. And I'm telling you, she would always say, when God starts to pour a blessing, it just flows. And that's all you can say. It just flows. And this is what happened. For me, it was a blessing in so many ways. The fact that I went there to perform, and actually, I came to sub. Someone else was supposed to come to Turkey, and they couldn't make it. So they called me in, and it was my blessing. And still, to this day, the young lady that was supposed to come, we're colleagues to this day. She's still here in Berlin. And I kiss and hug her every time I see her. Because if it wasn't for her not going, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you.
SubhanAllah. We understand as Muslims that when Allah Ta'ala has a plan for you, you can go to the left or the right, but you will always reach the direction that has been written for you. It's the qadr of
Absolutely.
Allah.
Yes.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
How is your life in Turkey, Della? You only spend a third of your time here, but tell us a little bit about your life in Turkey.
My working life, career, or my private life?
Let's start with your career.
Well, it was going great until COVID. It set us all back a bit. But I have to say, even though I'm still making concerts, I've been very, very blessed. And so since the last 2 months, I started performing again. And so I'm very happy about that. And when I do perform in Turkey, before and even after COVID, the audience, I always say the Turkish people wear their hearts on their sleeves because they're just so emotional. And we as artists, we thrive from the audience. So when I have an audience in front of me that's doing this, I have to keep myself awake. It's very difficult, and I have to push. But if there is an audience in front of me who wants to be there, and you can see it in the eyes, and that's why I love small venues. I mean, I play big ones, but I actually love the small ones because I can see them. And I live for that. Like I'm looking in your eyes right now. It just gives you so much energy. And I find the Turkish audience are so excited, and they are there because they want to be. This makes a big difference.
What I wonder about the soft-heartedness of the people in Turkey. there is a residue here of an ancient faith, and there is also the living faith. So the culture itself is seeped in the understanding of the Muslim culture, and then a large group of people, they practice it as well. I think. What are your thoughts about faith, and what it does to the human heart, and what has it done for you? Tell us a bit about your faith journey.
Well, my faith journey actually started as a child. I mean, I grew up in a very religious family. My mother, I mean, we were in church at least 3 or 4 times a week. And my mother was a very strong believer in God. And as I always say, there's only one God. We call him Allah. She called him God. But I believe he's the same person she's always talked about. He's the same God she taught me about. And so my faith started through my mother a long, long time ago to believe in God, to walk by faith. And when I was much younger, and I would say to my mother, "Oh, I'm nervous. Oh, to sing if I was getting on stage, and I'm nervous." She would say, "Well, did you pray?" It's like, "Yes, I prayed." "Do you believe in your prayer?" "Yes." "You have faith?" "Yes." She said, "You cannot have faith and fear at the same time. Choose one." So my faith started a long time ago.
Amazing. Amazing. That is so deep. You can't have fear and faith in the same body. Um, because and what your mum was talking about there is fear for this world, fear for stuff going on here. You don't fear it. You've let go of it. You've handed it over to God because he's in control anyway.
That's it. That's exactly what she meant. And if you believe, that's your faith. Faith is believing. If you believe, you cannot be afraid. And I watched this with my mother who raised 6 children. And I watched her faith many times, many times. So, yeah.
So that was your childhood. Did you manage to? It's not easy being on the road. Okay, disclaimer. I had faith as a child, and then I lost it. I never stopped believing in God, but when I got a little bit of fame, that was a real toxin in my 30s, in the 90s, and there's a lot of darkness that can be involved with that kind of life. Did you avoid that? Has it impacted people around you? What's a warning about, we have to warn people there is beauty as well in the art. There's also danger in the industry.
It's an ugly business. I always say, I love singing. I love being on stage. I love giving of myself. But the business itself, it's ugly. It really is. But I have to say, I never lost my faith. I have never lost my faith. And I can remember as an adult when I first left Houston and I told my mother, "I'm going to California. I'm going to be a star." And she said, "Okay, how are you going?" And I had saved up whatever money I could. And I said, "I'm going to take the Greyhound bus from Houston, Texas to California," a young girl getting on a bus. She said, "No way." But my mother bought me a flight ticket because she saw I was going one way or the other, but she wanted me safe. So she bought me a ticket. And during that time, I try to make this very short. I had a friend there, and it was strictly platonic. There was no relationship. He was male, I'm female. He had an apartment. And he said, "Della, you can stay with me. No problem. I will sleep on the sofa. You can have my bedroom and until you can get yourself together." I thought, "Oh, thank you so much." So I'm doing this. And meanwhile, I'm trying to find my way in California. It's a big city. Los Angeles, California, big city. I'm trying to find my way. And I start to get around, meet people, all these good things. People start to call me to do sessions in the studio. And he saw that. He saw that, oh, first of all, I didn't know he was in love with me. I did not know. I really didn't. Long story short,
how could we be so naive? Just all brothers.
I was green. He was much older than me, first of all. He was much older, and I was very green, but not stupid. Green, but not stupid. So anyway, long story short, he said to me one day, "Get out." And I thought, oh, okay. I had nowhere to go, I thought. But I swear to you, I packed my blue suitcase. I remember this day. My suitcase was the color of this blue. I packed my suitcase, put it on the side of my bed, and went to sleep like a baby, not knowing where I was going the next day. The next day, I showered. I sat on the edge of the bed like this, thinking, okay, now what? The phone rang. A girl calls me. She says, "Hi, Della, what are you doing?" I said, nothing. Now, this girl I met through him. She was his friend. She said, "I'm going away for 6 months. I have an apartment. I have a car, but my daughter, she's 5. And I need someone to house sit and get her to school. You can use my car. Can you do this for me?" I said, "Of course." She said, when can I pick you up?" I said, "Now." And she came. And in that 6 months, I had her car. I took her child to school. And during that time, I was able to find my way around and got more jobs. And by the time the 6 months was over, I got myself an apartment.
SubhanAllah. Look at that. The protection.
That was faith.
Yeah. MashaAllah. And protection, amazing.
And protection.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. Whitney, you worked with her, and that wonderful voice in a beautiful face. A church background. Again, any warnings to young people who are considering going into the industry on how to stay whole?
Do not believe the hype. This is the biggest problem, I think, for us artists, especially when we're on the road. When we're on the road, we are princesses and prince and kings and queens, and everything is given. We don't do anything. Everything is given to us. What do you want? Here, take this. Here's food. Everything. Here's your suite. Here's your business class or first class. Everything, the red carpet. But when that tour is over, you go home and you have to look in the mirror and live with the person that is really there, which is you. And a lot of artists, they cannot handle not having that feedback, which is false anyway. It's false feedback. When people are in the audience saying, "I love you," I sometimes want to say, you love what you see. You love what you know about me. You love the music, but you don't know me. It's a different kind of love. But a lot of artists believe that. And when they go home, they're alone. And even if they have family there, it's different for them. They don't know how to turn it off. So I have to say, I thank Whitney for that, because I learned from her. When I would go home, I realized now I wash my own dishes. I do my own thing. Come back to reality, basically. It's a big difference. Don't believe the hype. That's all I say. If you want to stay grounded, don't believe the hype.
Right, I hear that. I definitely hear that. I remember I had a show, my first TV show, and I said, I'm going to stay grounded. I'm going to eat with the crew. So the first week I go in and everything's done for you. Lauren, 5 shows a day you're shooting, you feel, And then I'd go upstairs and I'd eat with the crew in the canteen. Day 2, eat with the crew. By day 5, Della, it only took 5 days. I'm asking for sushi in the middle of the English countryside. I'm just saying, maybe you could find me some sushi. I mean, really, who do we become?
Yeah.
So faith on the road kept you going. What about your musical journey? I want to know really, subhanallah, about the first time you heard the adhan. Liam Neeson, I know you'll know him, a famous Hollywood star from Ireland. He described 10 years ago now, hearing the adhan in Istanbul when he was shooting. And he said, the first 5 days it was driving me crazy. And then after that, I thought, the best wake-up sound in the world. What was the impact of the adhan, and when did you first notice it?
When I first came to Turkey, I noticed it. And I told my group, every city should have this. Every city. Because I believe, even if you're not a believer, or if you're thinking of doing something to your neighbor, or even taking your own life, if by chance you hear that, it might just change something in you. I mean, just the thought of somebody, for me, it just feels like 5 times a day, someone's thinking of me. Yeah.
That's amazing. Because 5 times a day, we're called into the presence of the divine. We answer that call. And actually, I'm going to mute myself in a second, unless everybody wants to hear the beautiful adhan here in Uskudar, which maybe, inshallah, you do. It's a heartfelt feeling. Did you follow Sinead O'Connor and her journey, I wonder?
No, I did not. But maybe I will go back and do some research, because I love her. Yeah. I adore her as an artist, really. She's a great artist.
You know what's interesting, Della, is that she found in Islam a cure for her mental, emotional state. So she was detoxifying, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about what are your plans now in Turkey, and when are you coming back, inshallah?
When am I coming back? I'm coming back Saturday. In 2 days, yes. But only because I have a concert in Bodrum.
Bodrum, okay. And what are you going to be singing there? What kind of music?
A mixture of Della Miles music and some of my most favorite songs in the world.
I'd love to know your list. Come on, give us your playlist. What kind of variety of music touches your soul?
I always sing "I'll Always Love You," because I always like to dedicate this back to Whitney Houston. And I also, in this particular show, I love Freddie Mercury. And I do a Bohemian Rhapsody. And Who Wants to Live Forever. And I do some Tina Turner. And I do all that mixed around Della Miles.
Amazing. Describe to people, I'm sure you've got many fans here watching this, and we'll be putting it out later as well on a variety of platforms. But what is the sound of Della Miles? Jazz and blues?
No. I always get that. I mean, people always ask me if I'm a jazz and blues singer. I can. I mean, I even sing opera. I'm a singer at the end of the day. But as an artist, my favorite music, I do soul rock. I do shows like Tina Turner. My music is similar to hers.
MashaAllah. I went to see Tina Turner in the 1980s at Wembley, and she was absolutely rocking it there, subhanAllah.
I love her.
MashaAllah. Have you ever thought about doing a Turkish album?
Well, I'm considering it, definitely. And we were talking about it actually before COVID. And so now slowly it gets back on the table.
Inshallah. Are you going
but I don't think it would be complete Turkish, because that's that's a hard goal to reach if every song is Turkish. I think I cannot. But I will definitely have some beautiful Turkish songs on there.
I wonder, Della, have you experienced Sufi music and what impact that's had on you?
Oh, you got me now. Sufi?
Oh, Sufi music. Okay, everybody Turkish who's listening right now, you can send me, inshallah, your favorite, most beautiful spiritual Sufi song or Sufi tune. And I, inshallah, if Della doesn't mind, I'll send her an email with some links, okay?
Please,
and then
please.
we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you at some point and see what that feeling is, because that really is a pipe music. It's there's a huge mosquito in here. I'm really not happy if you see me doing this. Oh, subhanallah. There we go. The realities of human life. Della, you know what? When I was finding out about you, subhanallah, is it true you're a sociologist and a lawyer?
Not sociologists, more therapists. I work with psychologists, and I used to work with delinquent children who were taken out of their schools and their homes because of bad behavior. I studied criminal justice and psychology in university.
How do you bring that into your work right now? I'm sure you haven't left it behind completely.
No, the law part I cannot do anything about. But as far as psychology, I tend to analyze people. So I use it quite often as I'm on the road.
Do people ask you, or are you kind of like, you're looking at somebody and you're able, we call it in Islamic terminology is basira. Sometimes you can have an insight and people, we can see how people are feeling. Is it an emotional response that you have, or are you someone who the guitarist would go, I'm not sitting with Della, she'll know what I'm going through?
No, I don't actually use it in the group unless something is really, really wrong. Normally I use it for the audience. And when I'm looking at the audience, then I can understand how I should react to them. Or I can pick out someone that I know is going to change the whole group because of this one person. If I point at this person and I focus on this person, it will be like a wave for the rest of the group. And I do this all the time.
So your position in your band then is, kind of, are you like a conductor? Do you conduct the band as well? Is that how it works?
Oh, definitely. They know they cannot close their eyes because I can do anything on stage. Yes, I conduct everything. I'm not a control freak, but I do conduct my music. Yes.
SubhanAllah. What makes me sad, Della, is that you and I, as people from major cities in the UK and in America, because of our travels, we've had access to a way of being and thinking and seeing this particular part of existence differently. And I really feel sorry that our brothers and sisters in humanity are being shut off from that access.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How do we bring them closer to knowing how to be kind through faith and just what it is to be Muslim, so people aren't afraid?
I mean, as what brought me into being a Muslim and to Islam is practice what you preach. Be the example. I think that is what Allah asks of us. If we are an example, people will want to know more. That's what happened to me. It was the example that I saw, which made me more curious. Because growing up in Houston, Texas, how would I know about Islam? Basically, there was no way for me to know. I didn't grow up around any of that. But once he brought me into a situation where I was there. I could have seen a completely different behavior or the behavior that actually made me curious. So we have to just be an example.
SubhanAllah. Do you recite any? Do you know any ayat of the Quran yet? I know you
Oh,
described yourself. I know you described yourself as a child in Islam. So this isn't like a pop quiz. I promise you.
good, because I am still a baby.
Yeah, yeah. Alhamdulillah, I understand. 10 years that I'm still a baby. But it's really important, to have access to good teachers and to carry on learning and to carry on growing, because we never stop. There's too
No,
much to know and there's too little time. How do you
that's
deal with the concept of time, Della, in your life, in your spiritual growth?
I just take a day at a time, really, day by day. That's it. If anything is planned, then management has planned the work. But as far as my private life and how I feel and how I'm growing spiritually, I have to just take it day by day. That's it.
I'm studying a really interesting book right now by Imam al-Haddad, rahimahullah, and it's a very practical book of assistance, and it describes doing things in 30 minutes, or it doesn't say exactly 30 minutes, but do lots of things, but do them in small blocks. And don't
eating.
Like eating, right? Don't let the day run away from us, right? Because sometimes as a creative, describe your creative process. You might go for 6 months in a studio and nothing else gets done. Is that right?
Absolutely. Or you can go in there for 30 minutes and finish a whole song. It just depends. Some days, yes, I feel very creative and I can get a lot done. Then some days I cannot do anything. I think it's just normal.
SubhanAllah. Tell us what do you tell your American family that they don't know about Turkey? What have you told them they didn't know?
Well, they didn't know anything like I didn't. They didn't know anything about Turkey until I'm their face, I'm their mouth, I'm their dictionary, their information is all through me because they haven't come to visit me. And I've been asking them to come and visit me. But I tell them how beautiful it is and how the nice people that I've met there and how the media, especially when I first came to Turkey, the media was not very kind to Turkey, especially in Germany. The media here only said bad things about Turkey. And it was really strange for me because I was coming and going. And I just thought, why are you saying these things? So I always tell my family, don't judge the book by its cover or what you heard. You can travel, go see for yourself. Somebody tell you something about a store, oh, don't go in that restaurant. Go and see for yourself. You make your own judgment. Don't always listen to what the media is saying to you.
Do you actually think that people might be scared of Turkey in the States from what they know from their news?
This is what I mean. Yes.
And it's like going through the looking glass, isn't it? The first time you go, it's like, this is not the place I read about.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, every country, every big city will have its problems. This is normal because we're all humans. There's no perfect human beings. So every country has the same bad things. I don't know how else to say it. Every country has the same faults, but there's also a lot of good in each country. So to generalize, I hate when people do that. It's to generalize, when I say I'm from Texas or from America, oh my God, how do you survive there? Aren't they all shooting on the streets? I, I never saw a gun growing up. And I'm from Texas. I never saw a gun. So sometimes you just have to see for yourself and not listen to all the negative media that people describe about your country or other countries. Check it out.
Check it out. Mashallah. You know what? I think that's a lovely place to start wrapping things up. Sorry. Excuse me. I really hope that you and I meet when you come to Istanbul. And
Inshallah, we will.
inshallah, we will. Inshallah, we will. That's it. Inshallah. Tell us just before you go about your first visit to a major mosque and to the beautiful areas of Istanbul, Taksim, and Sultan Ahmed. What was the impact of seeing those places for the first, the second, the third time? What does it do when you're there?
Sovereignty. They were so beautiful. And you just feel like all the worries and concerns are outside. When you come in, you can be one-on-one, find yourself a place and be one with God. And it's like at home when your mother said, go to your room. Go to your room and think about what you did. That's the mosque for me. That's my room. I can go there and think of what am I doing for Allah? What am I doing? What am I doing for my family, for my friends? What am I doing? It's my room. As I tell my son, go to your room. Think. Sit down, be quiet, and think. For me, that's what it is.
Wow. You know what? That brings me to final question. COVID has impacted everybody watching this. I don't think there's a place in the world, any major city, that isn't being touched by it right now. I pray that everybody's families are well. I pray that everybody is feeling well. May you be protected.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as performers and speakers, obviously our road trips have been impacted, but I wonder what good you feel there may be and what warnings in COVID for us human beings.
What? I didn't understand your question. I'm sorry.
COVID has stopped things happening.
Yes.
Right? It slowed us down. How has it impacted you, Della? And I wonder if you read any warnings or any good from it. Or what?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I mean, there's a lot of negative things about COVID. We all lost a lot of jobs. Number one, I lost over 50 concerts. But okay, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But the positive thing that it's done, and my son was in school in Dubai. And when things started to get really bad, now I'd been on the road, you know, and he's in school. And I said, okay, when they put him in homeschool, they said, okay, school is shut down. You're going to be on school online. I said, okay, I'm going to get my son. Why should he be online there in Dubai? I went to Dubai to get him packed up, bring him home. The very next day, the airport's closed. So the good thing, and my son and I, we had the most enjoyable time because we had not spent that much time under the same roof at the same time in a long time. And we spent 3 months, just the two of us. Oh, I saw that big mosquito.
Oh,
We spent 3 months together, and I thank God for that time. It was beautiful. And so, and I think a lot of families, I saw other families and fathers who worked daily, had time with their children and their wives, or vice versa. I think the family, if nothing else, the families got stronger. Absolutely.
MashaAllah. Della, it's been really an honor to speak to you. I'm really looking forward to cooking with you, inshallah.
Inshallah.
What are you going to teach me to cook when you come to my home in Istanbul next week, inshallah?
I'm going to teach you soul food. We're going to do some collard greens,
Come on.
some candy yams, macaroni and cheese.
My Caribbean husband is going to be very grateful.
Oh, can he cook?
A little, but I know he's going to appreciate the collard greens especially. So okay, we're up for that. Some soul food Sunday maybe when you're over your jet lag. May Allah
Sounds good.
Allah bless you, Della. Thank you so much for your time. And everybody here, I pray this has been enlightening for you. Della, quickly, where can people find you? And tell us about Bodrum.
Yes, Bodrum. I am in a place called Lujo. It's a huge resort, and they have an open air concert right on the ocean. That's the background. It's beautiful, and it's just lovely. So that's where I am every Saturday.
Every Saturday? For how long?
Until the end of October.
Until the end of October. I'm already thinking in my mind, how far is the flight from Istanbul?
1.5 hours.
I might be coming to your house.
Please let me know.
All right.
And so I can let me know and I will arrange it for you. Let me know, please.
SubhanAllah. All right, everybody, please follow Della Miles. Send her your love and support. Sometimes it's not easy when the public knows that we've changed our lives. So send her all your love. May Allah Ta'ala bless you all. And that's it from Istanbul tonight. See you again.
Oh, okay, because they're asking if we have maybe 1 minute for a little bit of a Turkish song.
Fantastic. I'm stepping back. I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to hand over to you, Della.
Okay, and then we can close on that. But I'm not going to do the whole song. I'm just going to do just a little bit. Yalnız ben çok yalnızım. Uyumuş benim alın yazım. İster uzak, ister yakın. Anılar beni rahat bırakın. Artık dönsün de, dönmesin de. Ne çıkar beni sevmesin de. Bir kadehim var bak elimde. Hasreti içiyorum. That's it for tonight.
MashaAllah, that was beautiful. And the tonality so different from what we've grown up with. You absolutely nailed it. And I'll see you very soon, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, I hope this has been useful. May Allah Ta'ala accept it.
You are great.
Come to Turkey if you've never been. And you're an inspiration. Thanks, Della.
You're great. Thank you.
Bless you, sis.
Bless you too. Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks, Yunus Emery Institute.